Rachim Rachina Hashem Elokeinu Rachim Al Yerushalayim Yirecho Rachim Al Yerushalayim Yirecho Rachim 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 Oy Rachim no Hashem Elokeinu Rachim Al Yisrael Amech Rachim V'al Yerushalayim Yirecho Rachim 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 V'al Tzion Mishkan Kevoidecho V'al Malchus Beis David Meshichecho V'al Habayis HaGadol HaKadosh Rachim, Rachim, Rachim V'al Tzion Mishkan Kevoidecho V'al Malchus Beis David Meshichecho V'al Habayis HaGadol HaKadosh Rachim, Rachim, Rachim. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll give it one more time for Chazan Stephen Lees.
Every Pesach we sing and we sit and sing a song called Vahishyamda. We talk about how every generation we have our challenges, but we rise up, and we've been carrying on for many thousands of years. It's the most beautiful song. I'm sure you know the words, and I want you to join in with me. Vahishyamda lavoteinu Vahishyamda lavoteinu v'lanu Shelo echad bilvad Amad aleinu l'chaloteinu Amad aleinu l'chaloteinu Vahishyamda lavoteinu Vahishyamda lavoteinu v'lanu Shelo echad bilvad Amad aleinu l'chaloteinu Amad aleinu l'chaloteinu V'akadosh Baruch Hu matzileinu miyadam V'akadosh Baruch Hu matzileinu miyadam Lai 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 la la lai 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 la la lai lai la 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 lai la lai la lai 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 la lai 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 la la lai 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 la la lai lai la 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 lai la lai la Hakadosh Baruch Hu.
Cantors Stephen Lees and Yossi Binstock, thank you. And on the keyboard, Franklin Gelnick, thank you too. Friends, a very warm welcome to Britain's march against anti-Semitism. Chief Rabbi, Your Excellency, members of the House of Commons, my lords, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. I can see flags here, flags of the United Kingdom, flags of Israel, flags of Iran, flags of Ireland, the proud Welsh dragon, the Saltire. I can see flags from every place. I see friends here. I see friends who have come, friends of all faiths and none, of all backgrounds from all over the United Kingdom, who stand here today united against anti-Semitism. You've braved a tube strike. You've braved a government emergency alert. There's even a lunar eclipse. But at least the sun shines on the righteous. Before we get started, I want to say some thanks. Thank you to all of the frontline police officers who are here protecting us today. Thank you to Sergeant Simon, who sorted us out. Thank you to everyone from CST. You can see them all around you. Thank you, CST. And thank you to the 200 CAA volunteer stewards who are all around you as well. Give them a round of applause. Thank you. And to everyone who's come here, it's not just a London crowd. We're from all over this United Kingdom. I can see the community who came here from Leeds on a coach. I can see the community from Brighton who came all the way. We're here from all over the United Kingdom. The Board of Deputies ended its plenary session early so that they could jump on minibuses and get down here to join us as well. Welcome, all of you, and thank you. Thank you to the Office of the Chief Rabbi, to the United Synagogue and its president, to Progressive Judaism, to the Association of Jewish Ex-Servicemen and Ex-Servicewomen. Let's say a great round of applause for them in particular. They have served our country with pride, and it is our honor to march along with them. Thank you to the London Jewish Forum, the Manchester Representative Council, the Jewish Leadership Council, and to our activist groups who are amongst us. Thank you to Our Fight and Stop the Hate. Let's say thanks to them. Friends, we have just passed 700 days since the horrific events of October 7th. I want us to take a moment to pause and remember those who were murdered, brutalized, tortured, those who still languish in the dungeons of Hamas and Palestinian Islamic Jihad. We take a moment to think of them. As the shofar has rung out in the Jewish tradition over millennia, it can be a distress call, it can be a wake-up call. We are here to say, wake up, Britain! Britain, stand up for your values! Act against hate! It's nearly too late! Act against hate! It's nearly too late!
Act against hate! It's nearly too late! Act against hate! It's nearly too late! Act against hate! It's nearly too late! Act against hate! It's nearly too late!
Friends, it is my great honor to introduce some speakers for you this afternoon. First of all, I'll be introducing you to the Chief Rabbi, and I will also be introducing you to Jewish student Tali Smus. She's not yet 20 years old, and she will tell us about what it is like to face the future as a young Jew in Britain today. And then we will turn our attention to what needs to be done. We have asked the government, His Majesty's most loyal opposition, and the Reform Party to come and speak to us today. We will hear their message, and before we hear from them, I'll pop back on to talk a bit about what we feel needs to be done. So, friends, without further ado, it is my honor to introduce you to the Chief Rabbi of the United Hebrew Congregations of the Commonwealth, Sir Ephraim Merbis.
Right across the UK, a government-backed report recently told us that anti-Semitism has now become normalized within middle-class Britain. You can expect to see anti-Jewish prejudice in our professional life, within our cultural life, and in the public center. Anti-Semitism is rife right across the UK. You will see it, you will hear it, you will feel it in the arts, in the media, on university campuses, in schools, in industry, in trade unions, and in sport. The Britain that we have always loved and been proud of is a great country which champions freedom for all, safety, peace, tolerance for one and all. And that is the Britain that we want to have in the future. It is a truism that a threat to the Jews is a threat to our entire society. And on the 7th of October, our eyes were opened to an Iranian-led threat against our entire Western civilization, and therefore, to our fellow British citizens, we cry out passionately today and we say, Britain, wake up now! Yamim Noraim also means days of awe. And yes, we are seeing some awesome things happening right now. Before me, I am privileged to see an awesome sight. Tens of thousands of you. Thank you for the awesome things you are doing to counter the threat of anti-Semitism. Thank you for coming out in such strong numbers today. Thank you, not just for today, but for what you're doing on each and every day. And a very special thank you to our non-Jewish friends who are standing alongside us today. Thank you so much from the bottom of our hearts for your support and for your solidarity. My friends, these are very challenging times. We are expecting that soon our government will recognize a Palestinian state. And this will happen while Hamas is still ruling Gaza, and while Hamas is still holding and torturing so many hostages, bringing pain to their families and to so many others. A recognition of a state of Palestine at this time is a reward to terror. Yes. And such a step only achieves one thing here in the UK. It strengthens the hands of the extremists in our midst.
Shame on you, UK government.
But for us, we will continue to prioritize the hostages, to pray for them, to do whatever we can for their sake. And we pray that they will come home swiftly and safely, and we pray for the peace and the safety and the tranquility of every innocent person in the entire region. In the face of the demonization of the Jewish state, of Jews and of Judaism, we stand tall. We are proud of our Jewish values. We are proud of our contribution of inestimable value to our great British nation. And to the anti-Semites we say, Shabachol dor vadorom dimaleinu lechaloteinu, even though in every generation there are those who would prefer to live in a world without the Jews, HaKadosh Baruch Hu matzilenu mi'adam, Almighty God saves us from their hands. In the same way as we were not crushed by Pharaoh's chariots, by Haman's gallows, by Antiochus's decrees, by the Crusades' fury, by the Inquisition's flames, and by Hitler's machines of death, so too we stand tall today, and we know we will survive and we will prevail. Thank you so much for your resilience, for your strength. Indeed, British jury today is awesome. We're resilient, we're strong, and in the same way as we have faced the past 2 years, so we will continue to guarantee our safe and great future. Am Yisrael Chai!
I'm now delighted to introduce you to Tali, a brave student. She's not yet 20 years old, and during her studies here in London, she has faced what no student should have to face. If you'd like to follow her on Instagram and see her bring to life the story of what it's actually like on the front lines of just being a Jewish student in London, you can follow at the.BritishZioness. Tali, welcome.
Hello everyone, thank you so much for being here to support everyone. Like honestly, this is incredible to see so many people. So, my name is Tali and I am a Jewish student at King's College London. I began university with excitement, but on my first day, I found myself in a group chat with people harassing and threatening me, sending messages like, "Is there an effing Zionist on our group chat? Get him out. We fished out a Zionist." This went on for over 2 hours and left me in tears. That was my first day of university. On my second day, I was so scared I had my brother escort me to my classes. Most of them decided to stop talking to me from then on, and there was a sense of hostility in the air. On the 7th of October 2024, 1 year from the horrific attacks by Hamas, I saw a walkout planned by Palestinian activists and chose to stand in opposition. I was met with further threats, such as, "Bitch, get down, get off the pedestal, you're not the Messiah you think you are." The Zionists are actually everywhere. As a group, we should just band together and carry her out. I began to be afraid of what might happen if I attended my classes again, classes I paid to attend. I was struggling to get through that week, so as I was told, I spoke to the school's wellness advisor. Not 5 minutes into our conversation, she goes, "It might be helpful for you to try to understand why they're treating you this way." This is the advisor I was supposed to turn to, and did turn to, for help. I filed a report with KCL and the police. I haven't heard from King's in over 3 months, and the police said they were unable to help. To this day, I cannot walk into a classroom without hostile looks being thrown my way, without 2 empty seats on either side of me, having to decide if I should tuck in my Star of David or not. The advisor told me to try to understand why they're treating me this way. The truth is, I do understand, and so do Jewish students all around the country who are forced to avoid their own campuses for fear of persecution. Anti-Semitic and pro-terrorist chants, signs and encampments are commonplace on campus, whilst the staff look the other way, Or worse, they join in. CAA's polling shows that 90% of young British Jews blame their fellow students for the rise of anti-Semitic incidences on campuses. And only 3% are confident that if a Jewish student reported their claim, that the university would handle it well. I am an illustration of this statistic. With CAA, I projected my story onto KCL last week. Check it out online. But that's just my story, and I'm not alone. Jewish students are scared to go into campus, and that is not the reality we should have in this country. We deserve better than this. This must be the moment that those in power pledge to make a real, tangible change for Jewish students before it's too late. Please. Thank you everyone for being here to support the change that we need to see. Thank you.
Thank you, Tali. Friends, welcome once again. You know, it's always difficult to figure out how many people attend something. And there's an interesting online tool where you can draw a map of where people are standing and estimate the crowd density, and it gives you a number. Friends, I can tell you now, we are 70,000 people strong. 70,000 people. So to everyone in the Jewish community asking, are we alone? The answer is, our friends are here. Our friends are out there. The silent majority exists, and it is finding its voice. Before I start, there are a couple of our non-Jewish friends that I particularly want to thank. We're joined today by Mark Burbeck and Nia Korbani. Mark was standing here in Parliament Square just yesterday when he was accosted by a masked man who started shouting Zionists off our streets, and then there was a crowd of them, and then he was arrested by police. Mark was arrested by police and led off in handcuffs for his own safety. And Niak is a proud Iranian dissident who stands for his people in Iran. And because he knows the depths of the depravity of that tyranny, Niak stands with a sign that you've probably seen that says Hamas are terrorists. He has been to court 15 times. 15 times he has been arrested for saying that Hamas are terrorists, which is literally the law of the land. And I'm proud. I'm proud that in this country we have heroes like that who are willing to stand up for the Jewish people. And I am dead proud that whenever they need us to stand up for them, it is Campaign Against Antisemitism which provides their legal defense. And we will do it again and again and again until the message gets home. I'm standing here in Parliament Square amongst friends where I can say, as I say to you now, I am a proud Jew. I am the son of a tradition and a people, a tradition that has shone its light on the world for thousands of years and will continue to do so. Because if history teaches us anything, it's that the Jewish people will live. Indeed, the Jewish people will thrive. But the only question now is not whether we will thrive, but will British Jews thrive here? You know, I'm a proud Briton too. I was at synagogue yesterday where, as we do every week, the service stopped. We all stood so that we could say our weekly prayer for the royal family and the welfare of this nation. But then, in a reminder of the times we live in, the very next moment, the service stopped again for a simulation of a lockdown in which we had to shelter during an attack on the synagogue. That's life as a British Jew in 2025. Friends, look at that Churchill statue. Winston Churchill stands looking over us all today. This Britain is still Churchill's island nation that stands for tolerance, decency, respectful debate, that stood alone for a time against anti-Semitic fascism. What would he make of us now? Britain, stand up for your values. Act against hate before it's too late. And while debate rages about Union Jack flags hanging from lampposts, I see them flying proudly here today because there's no debate in the Jewish community about what the Union flag means. The Union flag stands for this country that has given us refuge, that has given us our homes, our lives. This is a place where British Jews have thrived. But once again, we ask, will we thrive here in the future? And many people here in this country have started to realize that something is awry. Our leaders, we say to you now, focus on the problems at home, not grandstanding about foreign conflicts in which Britain has no control and no say. We say to our leaders, stop turning a blind eye to extremism and anti-Semitism at home, or even worse, pouring fuel on the fire. And that fire is spreading. The polling released by Campaign Against Anti-Semitism today, the YouGov polling, shows that 1 in 5 people in this country holds 4 or more anti-Semitic views. That is our measure of entrenched anti-Semitism. 1 in 5 people holds an entrenched anti-Semitic view, and amongst our 18 to 24-year-olds, that number rises to 40%. And that means that amongst our 18 to 24-year-olds, 10% now have a, quote, favorable view of Hamas. And 19% of one of the most educated generations yet says that they feel that the medieval rape, torture, and murder and kidnapping of October 7th was, quote, justified. This is our country's future. Unless something changes, and the fire is spreading. A decade ago, we at Campaign Against Anti-Semitism took the CPS to court to get them to grudgingly prosecute a brazen neo-Nazi. Now, our criminal justice system keeps rushing into action against people like Niak and Mark. A decade ago, I remember watching the BBC after the Charlie Hebdo attack, after the massacre of 4 Jews in a kosher supermarket. And they interviewed a French Jewish woman, and as she said, we have to wake up to the reality that Jews are a target now. The presenter exclaimed, Palestinians have suffered greatly at Jewish hands. That was 10 years ago. Now we have the BBC of Bob Villan ranting about effing Zionists, chanting his death chant. We have Gary Lineker, BBC presenter, portraying Jews with a rat emoji. We have the BBC literally sending money to the family of a Hamas terrorist in Gaza. Shame on the BBC! And just the past fortnight, the fire spreads faster still. A Jewish mother and her daughter rammed by a man on a scooter shouting anti-Semitic abuse. A Jewish man shot with an air rifle. I'm talking just the past fortnight. A nanny told to hand over to a strange man the Jewish child that she was taking care of. Synagogues daubed with feces. Yes, multiple synagogues daubed with feces. A rabbi's home defaced with a swastika. A council-run museum that decided to cancel its Jewish heritage display out of safety concerns. This is a wake-up call because time is running out. And there are three things that we need. We need this country to deal with the incitement. We need to ensure that there is proper enforcement. And we need proscriptions. It's a simple recipe. So let's start with incitement. We already talked about the BBC. And much like the Labour Party under Jeremy Corbyn, change did not come to the Labour Party until it was brought by outside, by the Equality and Human Rights Commission, whose investigation campaign against anti-Semitism instigated. And just like them, the BBC needs change from the outside. There must be an independent inquiry into the culture of bias, brainwashing, and anti-Semitism at the BBC. And if what it takes to make that happen is a suspension of the license fee, then so be it. And we just heard from Tally about the incitement at universities. Well, universities in Britain used to be a bastion of debate where you could see a diversity of views. We need to restore that. And students on campus who support terrorist organizations banned in this country, they must be expelled. Students who think they can set up encampments and run riot on campus, they must be expelled. Universities must enforce their own rules or lose state funding. Enough of half measures, enough of excuses. So that's incitement. Let's talk about enforcement. What a difference a day makes. Because if you looked at Parliament Square yesterday, 450 arrests, people supporting a proscribed terrorist organization. This doesn't take place in a vacuum. And look, we get it. We respect the right to protest. We're here at a protest right now. But this is a protest at which you will not be unpopular for waving the flag of this country. This is the difference. We respect the right to protest, but we do not respect the right to glorify terrorism, attack police, or take over our streets every single week. The Met Police is currently cutting 1,700 police officers. The cost of policing the Palestine marches, the anti-Israel marches, the marches at which you can see people glorifying terrorism, is now approaching £100 million, and it's your money. And when we came to organise today's protest, again, I thank the frontline police officers who are protecting us today. But there are people at the top of our police forces who don't share the same priorities. They made it incredibly difficult. We were late setting out and getting here. We had all sorts of issues. They told us initially that we could not demonstrate at the BBC. The Met's commander for diversity and inclusivity told us that the Jewish community could march wherever we want in London, but nowhere near the BBC.
Big shame.
So we say use the existing laws that they tried using on us, and in fact did use on us today. Use them against these hateful marches. We don't want these hateful marches anymore. So take over our public spaces and take them away from the public. Control the marches. use existing laws to stop them wearing face coverings on the marches, and if needed, strengthen the law, put the Met into special measures, replace the commissioner, whatever it takes. But no more excuses. British justice was once famed around the world. And now when people talk of two-tier policing, it's an accusation that rings increasingly true. Enough! And the same goes for our regulators. Why has the Charity Commission still not taken sufficient action, including, unfortunately, against a number of mosques that preached hatred in the wake of October 7th? Why has the General Medical Council still not struck off doctors who preach hatred? Why has the Teaching Regulation Agency not taken action against teachers who indoctrinate our young people? When we go to the NHS, when we put our children in schools, we submit ourselves to the care of the state, and the state needs to show that it is worthy of that trust. And last of all, having talked about enforcement, let's talk about proscription. Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. We know for a fact that they are busy around the world trying to incite and even carry out attacks on Jews. Australia just banned the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps and expelled the Iranian ambassador. Why must this country be such a miserably soft touch? Ban the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. Proscribe them under the Terrorism Act. Do it now to our new Home Secretary. Do it now. And whilst our new Home Secretary is settling in, perhaps she can catch up and proscribe the Houthis that attack Jewish civilians and British shipping. Perhaps she can ban the PFLP and other terrorist organizations that are banned across the Arab world, but not here in Britain. Enough. That's what we need. And if any of that sounds unreasonable to you, does it sound unreasonable to you? That's what we want. Now, it's time for us to hear from our political leaders. We emailed, we called, we sent physical letters to hundreds of MPs of all parties. I'm pleased to see that the Labour Party has sent Joni Reid, Mike Tapp. The Democratic Unionist Party has sent Sammy Wilson. And we're about to hear from the Conservative Party's Shadow Home Secretary, Chris Philp, and the Reform Party's Deputy Leader, Richard Tice. But there is sadly a gap. You may notice that we do not have a representative of His Majesty's government. I can see people holding a banner up there. Yeah. We tried, we contacted them, we spoke to them for weeks. On Thursday, they offered us not a minister, not a junior minister, not an MP, not a House of Lords minister. They offered us a backbench member of the Labour Party from the House of Lords. No one from His Majesty's government. And I'm very sorry to have to tell you that, because we tried extraordinarily hard. So in a moment, we are going to hear from the Shadow Home Secretary, and then we will hear from the Deputy Leader of Reform UK. And I want to leave you with a last thing, a last comment. According to our polling, 86% of British Jews feel the campaign against anti-Semitism represents you on matters of anti-Semitism. And I want to say thank you to all of you. You donate to us, you volunteer your time with us, you call us in your moments of need, And so much of the work that is done by volunteers like Stephen Silverman in front of me now, our Director of Investigations and Enforcement. He makes sure when we hear from you that we instruct lawyers straight away, that we deal with each case. It's a lot of work and we try our very, very best. Friends, we will continue to fight tooth and nail for a Britain that has a future for British Jews, because these are dark times, but Great Britain can recover her greatness, and if she does, our proud Jewish community will still have a home here. So to hear from our political leadership, I want to invite the Shadow Home Secretary on behalf of His Majesty's most loyal opposition, Chris Philp, MP.
Well, good afternoon, London. Now, I've got to tell you, when I received the invitation to come here today, I did not hesitate for even 1 second before accepting it. And as I accepted the invitation to be here, I had in mind one of the saddest conversations I think I've had. It was with a very old friend of mine, his name's Brian, who lives in New York City with his family, who are Jewish. And about a year ago, they were coming to London to visit. I invited them to Parliament, we had a drink. But before he came, he asked me a question. He said to me, Chris, will my daughters be safe on London streets? Because no Jewish person anywhere in the world should ever have to ask that question. At least I've been told to hold the microphone nearer to my mouth. I should have got the hang of this after 10 years in Parliament. No Jewish person should have to ask that question. Least of all, the dog agrees, least of all in London. Because this city and this country should be and has been a beacon of hope, a beacon of safety, a beacon of peace, and a beacon of security. And the fact that my friend Brian had to ask that question, the fact that 70,000 people have to come out today in defence of that safety and security shows that something has gone deeply, deeply wrong. And we are here today to say no. We are here to say enough. We're here to say no more. We are here to demand the safety and the peace and the respect that has so long been a tradition in these island countries of ours. And we've all heard the stories, we've seen the statistics, as we just heard. Over 20% of our fellow citizens believe in 4 or more anti-Semitic tropes. The CST found in just the first few months of this year 1,500 serious incidents of anti-Semitism. And we've seen just in the last few weeks, as in fact we've heard already, a young teenager in Bournemouth of all places, a young Jewish man on his way to synagogue, got shot at with an air gun and hit in the head. And a rabbi in that same town, Bournemouth, had his house defaced with a swastika, a symbol of evil. That is the reality of the world, the country that Jewish people are living in today. And I am disgusted. I'm disgusted by that. And I'm here to tell you that you are not alone, that I stand with you, that we stand with you, and we will end this evil. And in universities. Wasn't Tally amazing that we heard from earlier? Wasn't she amazing? Come on, let's hear it. There she is. Let's hear it for Tally. Come on. Isn't she amazing? Standing up so bravely and speaking out. Universities are supposed to be a place where young people can discover themselves, come of age, learn to love wisdom and love knowledge, learn to embrace the freedom they have, make new friends. And yet on campuses, up and down the country, as Tally told us, not just here, but in other countries like, sadly, the USA as well, Jewish students are being abused and persecuted. It is immoral what is happening, and the fact that university authorities are standing by and doing nothing is immoral, isn't it? Shameful. Shameful, isn't it? Let them hear our voice. Is that shameful? Shameful. Speak it louder. Let them hear. Is that shameful? It is shameful. Shameful that our young people, just 18 years old, 19 years old, being abused in this way. It is disgusting and it has to end. And we heard mention of Iran. We heard mention of Iran, and I know some dissidents here, some people who are speaking up for freedom are flying some flags today. And you're right to fly them. Because the Iranian regime, they don't oppress just their own people, women in particular, but anyone who disagrees with that regime, that brutal, barbaric regime that murders its own citizens just for the clothes they may choose to wear. That regime, the Iranian regime, exports terror around the world, supports organizations like Hamas. It encourages terrorism the world over. I am in no doubt that the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps should be proscribed. And let me say this about our streets here in London and across the United Kingdom. We need to make sure that the laws we pass in Parliament are strong enough to protect people here, to protect each and every one of you. We need to make sure the police take action each and every time there is an act of anti-Semitism. We must do everything. We must strain every sinew to eradicate from these lands this most ancient of evil, anti-Semitism. It will not stand here. We will not tolerate it here. This nation will be safe and it will be free. I don't want a single Jewish person to feel they have to leave or to walk down the street feeling unsafe. You are not alone. We stand with you. We will make sure this nation is safe. We will make sure it is free. We will make sure you may flourish and contribute as much as you all have so much in past years. This is somewhere I want you to call home. It is your home. It is my home. It will be safe. It will be free. And we will eradicate the scourge of anti-Semitism.
Thank you, Chris Philp, Shadow Home Secretary. Shadow Home Secretary. Thank you, Chris Philp. Friends, it is now my honour to introduce you to the Deputy Leader of the Reform Party, Richard Tice, MP.
Hello, friends, family, the great Jewish community. It's a huge honour and a great privilege for me to be with you here this afternoon. But of course, the sad truth is, we shouldn't need to be here at all. That is the tragedy of this, and I feel embarrassed and I want to apologise that we are where we are. It's so humbling and wonderful and beautiful to see the flags of Israel alongside the Union flag. It's a great, great sight. I wonder how many Union flags there were flying yesterday in this same place. Any ideas? Yeah, the square root of zip. And we've heard the shocking polling results out from this YouGov poll that some 21% of people display forms of anti-Semitism. Folks, I've got some even worse news for you. I'm a member of this place over there. And let me tell you
that the percentage of anti-Semitism in that place over there is way, way higher than 21%. And it is shameful, absolutely shocking. And I have to tell you, with regret, that one of the hardest things to do is to see and hear that anti-Semitism from all different parts of the House of Commons. It is truly, truly awful. And the thing is, this is all about leadership, because if you don't have leadership, you have a vacuum. And that's why on the 11th of October 2023, having seen the appalling first pro-Hamas, pro-Palestine demonstration on that Monday night outside the Israeli embassy, I went live on TV and I said, we're a democracy, but the right to protest does not give you the right to incite hatred, violence, and anti-Semitism. And so I called for the marches, the pro-Hamas, pro-Palestine marches, to be banned. The laws were in place to do so. And I have to tell you, there is no doubt in my mind whatsoever that if those marches had been banned, as they have been in other countries, we would not have seen the horrific increase in anti-Semitism in this country. That is about leadership. It's about leadership from government, but it's also about leadership in institutions, whether it's the BBC. I nearly swore. The failure of leadership in the BBC is shocking, but I'm afraid to say, whilst being enormously grateful to our frontline officers from the Met Police and others here today, and I do want to say thank you to them for supporting us peacefully on this march, there is not the quality of leadership at the top of the Med that there needs to be, because the Med had the opportunity, which they did not take at their leadership level, to ban those marches, and we would be in a very different place today. But that's what leadership is all about, and that failure of leadership we've seen from this government that has wrongly imposed sanctions with regard to defence, with regard to Israel. It's been wrong at every level. I stood up over there and I thanked Israel and the United States for damaging and destroying nuclear facilities in Iran. And I thank them again. You can't be so weak and wet as to want, as many people over there said, we don't want Iran to have nuclear weapons, but when they're not prepared to thank Israel and the United States for doing something about it. It's all about leadership, and the disgust that I have for this government that thought it was a good idea to reward Hamas by recognising a state of Palestine. It is shocking. It was a total abdication of leadership. And we know that because what did Hamas do? They said, thank you. How can we have such weak, feeble leadership? It is absolutely unacceptable. Totally and utterly. And it's not just here. It's also in the United Nations. So after Emily Damari was released, she confirmed what we feared, that she had been held in UNRWA facilities. And so I asked the Prime Minister in PMQs one Wednesday, I said, now that we know the truth, that UNRWA is riddled with Hamas sympathisers, we should stop funding UNRWA. The Prime Minister was a bit grumpy with me, and the hatred that rose from the benches opposite. But we know it, don't we? There's plenty of other agencies. And I absolutely think that it is right. It is right to support the efforts of Israel and the United States with a different humanitarian organisation. You have to try different things when you know that the existing organisations are failing. But again, this place won't have any of it. They've been captured by the UN and certain leaders. And when you hear a British diplomat called Tom Fletcher, I hope he's listening, when you hear him go onto the BBC and spread lies and complete misinformation a year ago about the famine and the number of tens of thousands of babies, he said 14,000 babies would die within 2 days. What a load of absolute lies. And he didn't have the courage to apologise for his lies when he was on the BBC Radio 4 Today programme a few weeks ago. But this is what we're up against. Cowardice, and you have to wonder why. A lot of this country needs reform, so you're absolutely right. But I do actually want to congratulate Chris Philp. He gave a great speech just now. And on this, actually, we need to stand together. We need to stand united. United as proud Britons. United together. We all want peace. And the way to get peace is to release the hostages. And that's why I was so proud. We've just come back from our reform conference just over the last 2 days. And to be at a fringe event with the cousin of Eviatar David, who, of course, we all know that video, emaciated, digging his own grave. His cousin came to our conference, and I have to say that she moved me to tears just introducing her, for her to speak to our event. I'm very grateful that she made the effort. She spoke so powerfully on behalf of all of Israel and the Jewish community. It was truly humbling. And we've said for some time that we should prescribe the IRGC. It should have happened earlier, but under a reform government, that will happen. And Nigel also confirmed on Friday the absolutely vital news that we would prescribe the Muslim Brotherhood immediately. We know what they are, we know who they are, and we know what we need to do. Fundamentally, folks, this is about leadership. It's about courage. It's about doing the right thing. And I just conclude by just admiring this site. The unity, the love, the passion, and the flags. The flags of Israel and the Union flag and others. Thank you.